Misty. And Misty, when were you born? What year were you born in?
I was born in 1969.
So 1969. And where did you grow up during your childhood years when you were little? Like say between the ages of 6 and 12, 13, or 14.
Oklahoma and South Texas, mostly South Texas.
Okay, so Oklahoma and South Texas. And then as you think back to your childhood, how would you describe your childhood friends? Like, were they people of color? Were they just regular white American? Boys and girls? How would you
Well,
describe?
I'm mixed race. I'm black and Native American.
What tribe of Indians?
Cherokee.
Oh, you're Cherokee. Oh, okay. So Cherokee and Black American.
Hmm.
Okay.
I was odd, and I didn't get along too well with the girls. And since I couldn't get along with them, I played soccer with the boys. I was always just one of the guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do remember I was the only one. I was the only brown child.
Really?
Yes, and I think there's two brothers who were Asian,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of them were kind of a healthy little mix of black and white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
What types of childhood games did you guys play?
mostly just soccer.
Mostly
We
soccer.
s- we tried to do football, but one of the mothers freaked out, and she went, "Oh, you can't play tackle football with a girl." I remember he was a redhead. He went, "Misty's not a girl; she's a boy."
No way.
And his mother went, "I don't know how to tell you this, but one of these days she's going to develop, and you're going to see she's not a boy."
Now we're going to move on to the next question, which is, what is your earliest memory of someone trying to point out to you that there's this big difference or this perceived difference between being a black person or a person of color and being a white person or white American?
Well, I was about 9 years old, and I had a babysitter,
Mm-hmm.
and her son was very fair, green eyes, um, I guess kind of Irish looking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was sitting in a corner, and, all the other children were playing, and I always felt out of place whenever I'd have to go over there because they were all white. And, you know,
So she was babysitting a bunch of different families' kids.
yes.
Okay.
And I was sitting off in the corner, and I was playing by myself, and her son walks up and knocks a toy out of my hand, and he goes, "And what are we doing over here?" No, it just playing. And anytime he talked to me, he always talked to me like that. And he goes, "Well, what are we doing over here in Nigga Town?" And I was
What?
like, "Oh my gosh." And I went, "For your information, I'm called mixed." And he goes, "You got black? You're black. If you're black, you're," and he used that word again. And I went, "I'm also Native American." He went, "That's even worse. Mama says," and he starts talking about, different hateful things his mother would say about me whenever I wasn't there. And I went home and I told my mother, and my mother went, "Oh, she'd never do that. She'd never do that. She's very caring. She's very loving." And I went, "Okay, well, next time I go over there, I want," and I told her the name of one of my cousins, and she goes, "Okay, we can do that." And she babysat both of us. Well, my cousin was very dark, very, very much has the, very dark Native American. You've seen.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, anyway, and we got, and she watched us for a night, and then we went home the next day, and we stuck really close together the entire time we were there. And her son walks up to us and he kicks a toy away from us, and he says all of that would, and my cousin got angry and tackled him, and his mother went off on us.
Really?
You have no business touching my child. Don't you know that you people? And she was telling us that, if he does something, it's okay because we belong to him. Because this land belongs to the white people. And we just needed to accept that we were going to fade out of existence whenever all is said and done. And we got home, and my cousin told my mother, and my mother said, my mother apologized to me and told me that she was sorry that she didn't listen to me, and that she called the babysitter to ask if it was true. I guess it was just one of those things. My mother had never experienced racism, ever. And the babysitter went, "Oh no, I love those kids." And my cousin looked at her and went, "If you can't believe us, you're no better than she, or you're no better than her." My cousin was about a year older than me, or something like that. He was a little bit older. And my dad went through the roof. He wanted to call the police, and everything. And he thought that she needed to be in jail because he thought it was illegal to act like that. He thought it was child abuse. And whenever he was talking to her, she lost her cool with him and started throwing around racial slurs. And my dad later on, he sat me down and he tried to explain to me that there are some people in this world who are just ugly and hateful, and there's nothing that can be done about them. And I remember the rest. After that, I was scared of white people. Well, I was scared of a particular type of white person, very fair. I thought, if this, I know it sounds crazy, but I thought, well, if this one adult and this one child was ugly like that to me, what does prevent the rest of them from being ugly like that?
Out of high school and into the work world, did you have any other experiences?
Mostly whenever I have to work with I hate saying this. I was working with one lady one time, and she could play the victim. One time she would tell me, "Hey, Misty, I need help over here." So I'd go over and help her. Well, as soon as I start helping her, she'd go wandering off. And the boss would come up, "Well, what do you think you're doing, stealing people's jobs?" Well, she told me to come over here and help her. Well, she told me that you stole her job. And then one time I got irritated and I called her out on it. And I went, and I called her by her name and I said, "What is your deal? I don't know what your problem is, but we just need to get past it." And she just started running her mouth, and I stepped outside. We both had to talk to the boss. And whenever I come back in, she's smiling at me, and it blew my mind. She walked up to me and she went, "You need to learn your place. You're getting too comfortable around here." And I went, "My place? I'm working. All I want to do is just do my job, get my paycheck, and go home." And she goes, "Look around you." And I mean, real hateful woman. She went, "Look around you. What do you see?" And I went, I know we're full well where you're heading. And she goes, okay, we got an understanding, right? And I said, oh yeah, I know full well what you're saying, but you're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, okay, just as long as we have an understanding, I own you. And I was like, who says that? Who says that? One of my other coworkers called me out back and she goes, you need to watch out for her. And I went, well, what do you mean? Well, she's saying that she's going to get that, a racial slur,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
fired because she has no business working here with all of us white folk. And she went, oh, I'm just telling you what she told me. And then after I left, because I finally got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I was depressed. I was feeling low. Every time I turned around, it was always, I own you. I worked with a woman one time. She was black, beautiful woman. And she was handing someone some change. And she was handing change to a Hispanic man. Well, man, he's about 15.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad grabbed him back, and he said, we're fine. We don't need that change. And he said something, and he said something in Spanish. She grabbed the change. She just threw it as hard as she could, and went storming off. And she goes, and after she pulled down, she comes back and she goes, he said, and I quote, we don't take change from those people. And then he used that word. That was my first time really experiencing racism to people of color. I'd always viewed it as, we all know, people of color, we all know what the other ones have been through. So why would we treat each other like that?
Mm-hmm. How do you see the future? Do you feel that it's getting better? It's getting worse? In terms of race and racism and how people treat each other based on, how do you see the future?
I think it is a really nasty roller coaster ride. Things back in the 70s were bad. Mm-hmm. And then it got a lot better. And then it got a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, one of my children is very fair. Mm-hmm. And I just keep on waiting for a day whenever we walk into a restaurant we can't sit together. Mm-hmm. Because I actually am scared to death that there's going to come a time whenever it's going to get that bad again. Mm-hmm. I don't have many friends now as an adult because people like labels.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Especially in the adult world. And if you don't wear the label, we're all in little drawers. Mm-hmm. And if you don't fit in perfectly in a drawer, you don't get to go in there. Mm-hmm. So it's like some people are saying, okay, well, you don't fit into any of these drawers. Okay, well, you get to go in the junk drawer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's not pleasant feeling. Not a pleasant feeling. I'm not hopeful.
Mhm.
It's just, I'm aggravated and confused and heartbroken. And completely at a loss.
Mhm.
Because I would love to be able to make a stand, but it's hard to make a stand whenever you're told you can't stand here. And I hate to say it like this, but that the most harmful thing is trying to fit in with people who don't want me to.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mhm.
I love what you're doing.
Mhm.
You're not just looking at one side, and you seem very open-minded.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
And I certainly do appreciate that, and I hope you're able to keep us from the trajectory that I see.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I am so sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's just the whole racism thing. It's just it's painful.
Mhm.
I want a world where it doesn't matter. I mean, we're all best friends.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because it would be absolutely ideal if racism just magic wand, poof, gone.
Yeah.
I know I've been accused of believing in fairy tales,
Mhm.
but just how beautiful it would be that nobody's talking ugly to someone because they're a different race. Certainly not, killing them. Imagine all the violence that would just disappear.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whew, I'm sorry. It's just imagining that kind of world.
Yeah.